The emergency signal came from Colony 7 on a Tuesday morning, and it made every alarm in the Galactic Confederation headquarters scream at once. Ambassador Zexathera's coffee mug fell from her four-fingered hand as the red lights flashed across her office walls. Unknown hostile species attacking human settlement, the message read. Immediate assistance required. Colonists in danger. Zexathera had seen this before. New species would find a human colony, see easy prey, and attack. The humans would hide in their shelters and call for help while their world burned around them. It was always the same sad story. Prepare diplomatic vessel Harmony, she told her assistant. Full medical team and trauma counselors. These humans will need help dealing with whatever attacked them. The journey to Colony 7 took 3 days. During the trip, Zexathera studied the files about humans. They were a young species, barely 200 years into space travel. They were soft, had no natural weapons, and seemed to make friends with everyone they met. The galaxy generally liked humans because they were harmless and brought good food to trade meetings. Poor creatures, Dr. Krillneck said as he checked his medical supplies. They probably never saw the attack coming. Their species is too trusting. When they arrived at Colony 7, Zexathera expected to see burning buildings and scared survivors hiding in caves. Instead, she saw something that made no sense at all. The human colony looked normal. Children played in gardens. Adults worked on building projects. Smoke rose from cooking fires, not burning homes. People waved at the Confederation ship as it landed. This cannot be right, Zexathera said. Where are the attackers? Where is the damage? A human woman walked toward their ship. She had brown hair tied back and dirt on her hands from gardening. She smiled like she was greeting old friends. Hello there, the woman called. I'm Sarah Martinez, colony leader. Are you the folks from the Galactic Confederation? We sent that message days ago. I hope you didn't rush. Zexathera stepped out of her ship carefully. Her translator worked hard to make sense of what Sarah was saying. Ms. Martinez, our records show your colony was under attack by unknown hostile aliens. Where are your people? Are they safe? Sarah laughed. Oh, that old message. Yes, we had some new neighbors move in. Scared us at first, I'll admit. But everything worked out fine. Actually, better than fine. The boys have been such wonderful help. The boys? Dr. Krillneck asked, our new neighbors. They're a bit different from what we're used to, but you know how it is with new folks. Takes time to get comfortable with each other. Before Zexathera could ask more questions, the ground shook. Something very large was walking toward them. The ambassador reached for her emergency communicator, but Sarah just turned and waved. Oh, here comes Mr. Chompers now. He's been working on the new water system all morning. What walked around the corner of a building was not a person. It was not anything that should exist on a peaceful colony world. It stood 12 feet tall on legs like tree trunks. Its skin was black and seemed to move like liquid. 3 rows of teeth filled a mouth that could swallow a small vehicle. Its eyes glowed red and spines ran down its back like sword blades. Dr. Krillneck made a sound like a small animal dying. 2 of Zexathera's security team fell down. The creature's presence made the air feel thick and wrong. But Sarah walked toward it with no fear at all. Good morning, Mr. Chompers, she said in the same voice she might use to greet a neighbor's dog. How's the water project coming along? The creature made sounds that hurt to hear. They were deep and seemed to come from underground. Zexathera's translator struggled, then produced words that made even less sense than the sounds. Pipe installation 70% complete. Minor complications with soil density. Solution implemented. Project on schedule. That's wonderful, Sarah said. You and the other boys are doing such good work. I made some of those fruitcakes you like. They're cooling in the kitchen if you want to grab some. The creature that could clearly kill everyone in sight tilted its massive head. Appreciation expressed. Fruitcakes will be retrieved. Sweet flavors are pleasant. It walked away, leaving footprints in the concrete like it weighed as much as a small building. Zexathera stared at Sarah. Ms. Martinez, do you understand what that creature was? Mr. Chompers? He's one of our new neighbors. Real name is hard to pronounce, so we call him Mr. Chompers because of his teeth. He's actually quite gentle once you get to know him. That thing could kill your entire colony in minutes. Sarah looked confused. Kill us? Why would he do that? He's been helping us build better water pipes. And he loves my fruitcakes. More sounds came from different parts of the colony. More of the creatures were moving around. Zexathera could see them through the buildings. Massive nightmare shapes doing what looked like construction work alongside human colonists. How many of them are there? She asked. About 20 in the main group. They showed up 3 months ago. I'll admit we were scared at first. They looked pretty intimidating, but they were just looking for a place to settle down. Poor things had been traveling for a long time. A human child ran past them, chasing a ball. The ball bounced toward one of the creatures. Instead of running away, the child ran right up to the monster and patted what might have been its leg. Can you get my ball, Mrs. Sitha? It's stuck under your foot. The creature carefully moved its massive foot and picked up the ball with claws that could cut through steel. It handed the ball to the child with the same care a human might use with a soap bubble. Thank you, the child said, then ran back to her friends. That child just... Dr. Krillnex couldn't finish his sentence. Oh, that's little Emma, Sarah said. Mrs. Sitha has been teaching her mathematics. Emma's gotten so good at numbers since the boys arrived. They're very smart, you know. Zexthara tried to think of what to say. Her training had prepared her for many situations, but not this. Ms. Martinez, those creatures appear to be extremely dangerous. My security team's scanners show they have natural weapons that could level this entire colony. Well, sure, they're strong. That's why they're so helpful with construction work. And yes, they have big teeth and claws. But so do lots of nice people. You can't judge someone by how they look, but they're... Zexthara stopped. She realized she was about to call them monsters, and that seemed rude. They appear to be predatory species. Oh, they eat meat, yes. But so do lots of folks. They've been very polite about their dietary needs. They hunt in the forest outside the colony, and always clean up after themselves. Another creature approached them. This one was even larger than the first, with extra arms and what looked like armor plating. Sarah smiled and waved. Hello, Kizit Thrall. How's your day going? The creature spoke in those same terrible sounds. The translator said, Greetings, Sarah Martinez. Day proceeds satisfactorily. Construction projects advance well. Small humans demonstrate excellent learning capacity. I'm so glad to hear that. Kizit Thrall, these are visitors from the Galactic Confederation. They came to check on us after we sent that message about new neighbors. The creature turned its glowing eyes toward Zexthara. She felt every survival instinct she had telling her to run, but the creature just said, Welcome to Colony 7. We hope your visit is pleasant. Then it walked away to continue whatever construction project it was working on. Sarah turned back to the ambassador. See, they're really very nice once you get to know them. Would you like to stay for dinner? The boys are cooking tonight. They make the most interesting dishes. Ambassador Zexthara decided to accept Sarah's dinner invitation, though every part of her mind screamed that this was a terrible idea. She needed to understand what was happening on Colony 7. Her team set up their equipment to record everything for their report to the Confederation. I want full bioscans on those creatures, she told Dr. Krillnex quietly. And keep the emergency transmitter ready. If this goes wrong, the Confederation needs to know what happened here. Dr. Krillnex nodded, but his hands shook as he worked with his scanning equipment. Ambassador, my readings don't make sense. These creatures register as apex predators on every scale we have. Their threat level is beyond what our equipment can measure. But they're helping build water pipes, Zexthara said. Yes, and that makes no sense either. Sarah led them through the colony. Everywhere they went, humans and the massive creatures worked side by side. A group of human teenagers helped one of the monsters carry building materials. The creature was careful to move slowly so the humans could keep up. That's Gerthak, Sarah explained. The kids call him Mr. G because his real name is hard to say. He's been teaching them about engineering. Amazing what they've learned. They passed the school where Dr. Krillnex stopped suddenly. Through the window, they could see a creature that looked like it was made of living weapons standing in front of a group of human children. The children sat quietly listening. What is that thing doing to those children? Dr. Krillnex whispered. Sarah looked through the window. Oh, that's story time. Bledikla tells the most wonderful tales about traveling through space. The children love hearing about different worlds and stars. The creature inside was making those deep, terrible sounds. The translator worked to make sense of it. And then the brave explorers found a planet where the oceans were made of liquid crystal, and the fish swam through light instead of water. The children raised their hands with questions. Did the fish glow? Were there fish people living there too? Can we go visit the crystal ocean someday? The creature answered each question carefully, its voice getting softer when it spoke to the smallest children. Dr. Krillnex stared in shock. That's That's actually educational content. It's teaching them about space exploration. The boys are very good teachers, Sarah said proudly. Much better than our old computer lessons. They continued to the dining hall, which was bigger than it used to be. The humans had built additions to fit their new neighbors. Tables of different sizes filled the room. Some human-sized, others built for creatures that could accidentally step on a human. We had to make some changes when the boys moved in, Sarah explained. Different species have different needs, you know. But we're all neighbors now, so we work it out. Zexthera watched as humans and creatures shared the same space. A human woman sat next to something that looked like it could bite her in half. They were discussing what might have been a recipe. The secret is cooking the meat at high temperature first, the human was saying. It seals in the juices, the creature responded. This technique has merit. Our traditional methods involve acid digestion. Your thermal approach creates different flavors. Exactly. Would you like me to show you how to use the seasoning spices? They make the meat taste even better. Dr. Krillnex grabbed Zexthara's arm. Ambassador, that creature just described acid digestion. It dissolves its food with acid. And that human woman is giving it cooking tips. Before Zexthara could respond, the dinner bell rang. Creatures and humans began gathering around the tables. Sarah guided her guests to a table where they could observe everything. Tonight's dinner is special, Sarah announced. Our friends are cooking for us using recipes from their home worlds. A group of the creatures brought out dishes that made Dr. Krillnex's scanning equipment start beeping warnings. The food glowed with colors that shouldn't exist. Some dishes seemed to move on their own. One bowl contained what looked like liquid fire. How wonderful, said an elderly human man as he was served something that gave off purple smoke. This smells completely different from anything we've had before. He took a bite. Dr. Krillnex expected him to fall over dead. Instead, the man smiled. Fascinating flavor. Is that a type of mineral I'm tasting? The creature serving him made pleased sounds. Crushed star metal aged in solar winds. A delicacy on our world. Star metal, Dr. Krillnex whispered to Zexthara. That should be radioactive enough to kill him instantly. But the human man took another bite and complimented the cook on the texture. All around them, humans were eating food that should have been impossible. Children giggled as they tried dishes that glowed and sparkled. Parents asked for recipes. Everyone seemed to be having a wonderful time. One of the creatures approached their table. It was smaller than the others, but still twice the size of a human. Its skin was covered in spines, and its mouth had too many teeth. Honored guests, it said in those deep rumbling sounds. We have prepared special dishes for your species. Our research indicates your dietary requirements. It placed plates in front of Zexthara and her team. The food looked normal, simple vegetables and proteins that their species could eat safely. Thank you, Zexthara said carefully. The food actually smelled good. We regret we cannot share our traditional foods with you, the creature continued. Your biology would not process them safely, but we hope you enjoy these selections. Dr. Krillnex stared at his plate. It studied our dietary needs and made us safe food? The boys are very considerate hosts, Sarah said. They always make sure everyone can eat safely. Zexthara took a bite. The food was actually delicious. This is quite good. Thank you. The creature made what might have been a pleased sound. Your satisfaction brings us joy. As dinner continued, Zexthara watched the impossible scene around her. Creatures that should be the stuff of nightmares were having friendly conversations with human colonists. Children showed drawings to beings that could accidentally kill them by breathing too hard. Elderly humans gave parenting advice to creatures that reproduced by doing things too horrible for Dr. Krillnex to translate properly. Sarah, Zexthara said during a quiet moment, can you help me understand something? When these neighbors first arrived, weren't your people afraid? Sarah thought for a moment. Oh, absolutely. When 20 giant monsters with teeth and claws show up at your door, your first thought isn't, let's be friends. We were terrified. What changed? Well, they just stood at the edge of our colony for 3 days. Didn't attack, didn't threaten anyone, just waited. Finally, I went out to see what they wanted. That was very brave, Zexthara said. Or very stupid, Sarah laughed. But they seemed more confused than dangerous. Turns out they'd been traveling for a long time, looking for a place to settle. They'd heard humans were, what did they call it? Accepting of differences. And you just let them stay? They asked nicely. They promised not to hurt anyone or cause trouble. They offered to help with colony work in exchange for a place to live. Seemed like a fair deal. Across the room, a creature was showing a group of human children how to make shapes with their claws. The children were fascinated, trying to copy the movements with their small hands. Besides, Sarah continued, everyone deserves a chance to be a good neighbor. You can't judge people by how scary they look. Dr. Krillnax leaned over to whisper to Zexithara. Ambassador, my scans are complete. These creatures are definitely apex predators. Their natural weapons could destroy this entire colony in minutes. But their behavior patterns don't match any predatory species we've encountered. What do you mean? They're showing protective instincts toward the humans, especially toward the children. It's like they've adopted the entire colony as their pack. Zexithara watched as one of the massive creatures carefully helped an elderly human woman to her feet. The gentleness was impossible to fake. Maybe, she thought, the humans have adopted them too. 3 days after the dinner, Admiral Zexithara's peaceful, fact-finding mission turned into a crisis when the Confederation military showed up, unannounced. She was watching human children play a game with some of the creatures when her communication device screamed with incoming messages. General Mordek's face appeared on the screen, and he did not look happy. Ambassador Zexithara, you failed to report the true nature of this threat. We're taking over the situation immediately. General, there's no threat here. The situation is under control. Under control? My long-range scanners show 20 class Twithian extinction-level species living among human civilians. This is the worst first contact disaster in Confederation history. Before Zexithara could explain, 5 military ships appeared in the sky above Colony 7. Their weapons were powered up, ready to fire. Warning broadcasts began playing from speakers on the ships. Attention, Colony 7. You are in immediate danger from hostile alien species. Remain in your shelters while military forces eliminate the threat. The humans stopped what they were doing and looked up at the ships with confusion. The creatures froze, their massive heads turning toward the sky. For the first time since she'd arrived, Zexithara saw the creatures look truly dangerous. Their eyes began glowing brighter, and their natural weapons extended. Oh dear, Sarah Martinez said as she walked up to the ambassador. Your friends seem upset. Are they here to visit too? Sarah, you need to gather your people, Zexithara said quickly. The military thinks those creatures are going to hurt you. They're here to remove the threat. Remove the threat? Sarah looked confused. What threat? One of the creatures, the one the humans called Mr. Chompers, approached them. His usually calm manner was gone. When he spoke, his voice carried undertones that made the ground shake. Ambassador Zexithara, are these ships here to attack our hosts? The military believes you're dangerous to the humans. We would die before allowing harm to come to the colony. I know that now, but they don't understand the situation. Sarah looked between them. Wait, everyone thinks the boys are dangerous? That's silly. They helped us build a playground last week. Dr. Krillnax, who had been scanning the creatures continuously, ran up to them with his equipment beeping frantically. Ambassador, their threat indicators just increased by 300%. They're preparing for combat. Combat? Sarah looked shocked. Boys, you can't fight those ships. Someone might get hurt. The massive creature looked down at her with glowing red eyes. Sarah Martinez, these beings intend harm to you and your people. This cannot be allowed. No one intends harm to anyone, Sarah said firmly. This is just a misunderstanding. We'll sort it out. She pulled out a small communication device and contacted the ships above. Hello, military people. This is Sarah Martinez, Colony 7 leader. I think there's been some confusion. General Mordek's voice came through the communicator. Ms. Martinez, thank goodness you're alive. Get your people to the evacuation zones immediately. We're going to eliminate the hostile aliens. Oh, you mean the boys? They're not hostile. They're our neighbors. There was a long silence from the ships above. Then, Ms. Martinez, those creatures are class Twithian predators. They're among the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Well, that's what everyone keeps telling me, but they've been nothing but helpful. Mr. Chompers fixed our water system. Mrs. Sitha teaches math to the children, and Gazithral makes the most amazing fruit salad. Fruit salad? Oh yes, it's quite good. Though it does scream a bit when you first serve it. The fruit is still alive, you see. Very fresh. Dr. Krillnax grabbed Zexithara's arm. Did she just say the fruit salad screams? Focus, Doctor. We need to prevent a war. General Mordak's voice came through the communicator again. Ms. Martinez, those creatures have clearly affected your judgment. You're suffering from some kind of mental influence. We're evacuating all humans immediately. We're not going anywhere, Sarah said calmly. This is our home. The boys live here too now. The boys? That's what we call our new neighbors. Their real names are hard to pronounce. The ships above began powering up their weapons further. The creatures around the colony responded by gathering together, forming what looked like a defensive formation around the human buildings. 8-year-old Lucy Chen ran up to Sarah, pulling on her sleeve. Ms. Martinez, why are those ships pointing weapons at us? Did we do something wrong? No, sweetie, it's just a misunderstanding. Should I show them the spinny thing Kazit Thrall taught me? Maybe that would help them understand we're friends. Zexathera turned to look at the child. The spinny thing? It's a game Kazit Thrall taught me. Want to see? Before anyone could stop her, Lucy stepped into an open area and began moving her hands in a complex pattern. The air around her started to shimmer, and Zexathera's equipment began registering gravitational anomalies. Lucy, no, Sarah called, but it was too late. The child completed her movement, and the space around her twisted. A small crater appeared in the ground where she had been standing, and she was now floating 3 feet in the air, giggling. See? It's fun, Kazit Thrall says I'm getting really good at it. Dr. Krillnex's equipment was going crazy. That child just manipulated gravity like it was a toy. That's a combat technique that could level buildings. Lucy calls it the spinny thing, Sarah said proudly. The boys have been teaching the children all sorts of interesting games. Lucy gently lowered herself to the ground. Kazit Thrall says humans are really good at learning new games. He's going to teach me the explodey thing next week. The explodey thing? Zexathera asked weakly. It's where you make little suns with your hands. They're really pretty. General Mordak's voice came through the communicator, sounding strained. Did that human child just demonstrate weapons-grade gravity manipulation? It's not a weapon, Sarah said. It's a game. Ms. Martinez, that technique could destroy a starship. Well, yes, if you used it wrong. But Lucy's very careful. All the children are. The boys make sure they practice safely. The creatures around them were still in defensive positions, ready to fight the ships above, but they were also watching the human children with protective attention. One of them moved closer to Lucy as if making sure she was safe. How many children know these games? General Mordak asked. Oh, all of them. The boys are excellent teachers. Emma learned mathematics that our computers couldn't handle. Tommy can do something with energy fields that makes the most beautiful light shows. And little Jake. Well, Jake accidentally made a small black hole last week, but he's learned to control it now. A black hole? Just a tiny one. It only ate a few rocks before Jake figured out how to turn it off. The silence from the ships above lasted for several minutes. Finally, General Mordak spoke again. Ms. Martinez, I need to speak with these neighbors of yours. Kazit Thrall stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of something that had never known fear. General Mordak, we mean no harm to any being under our protection. The human colony has shown us kindness. We will defend them with our lives. Under your protection? These humans are our pack now. We have adopted them as they have adopted us. You've adopted an entire human colony? They feed us, provide shelter, include us in their social activities. In return, we protect them and share our knowledge. It is a fair arrangement. Sarah stepped forward. General, I think you're worried about nothing. The boys have been perfect neighbors. They help with construction, teach the children, and they make wonderful dinner conversation. Dinner conversation? Oh yes, they have the most interesting stories about space travel. And they're learning about human culture too. Last week, Mrs. Shizatha asked me to explain birthday parties. She wants to throw one for her youngest spawn when it hatches. Her spawn? Yes, she's expecting. We're all very excited. The children are making welcome gifts for the new baby. Dr. Krillnex looked like he might faint. Ambassador, these creatures reproduce by implanting eggs in host species. If one is about to hatch— Oh no, Sarah interrupted. Mrs. Sitha explained all that. They only do the host thing when they're in the wild and desperate. When they have a proper home, they reproduce normally. Much more civilized. Normally? Well, normal for them. It involves a lot of roaring and some kind of energy discharge. But they're doing it safely, away from the colony. Very considerate. General Mordak's voice came through the communicator one more time. Ambassador Zexathera, I need you to file a full report immediately. The situation is unprecedented. The ships above powered down their weapons, but they didn't leave. The creatures relaxed slightly but stayed alert. Sarah looked up at the sky and waved. "Would you like to stay for dinner, General? The boys are making their special soup tonight." In the deep caves beyond Colony 7, Kezit Thrall rested with his pack as the alien ships hung in the sky like metal threats. His kind had no word for the emotions he felt when he looked toward the human settlement. The closest translation might be protective fury mixed with confusion. For 30 million years, his species had traveled the galaxy as apex predators. They were the nightmare stories other species told their young. When they arrived at a world, civilizations evacuated entire star systems rather than face them. They were the devourers, the void hunters, the species that turned planets into graveyards and left systems empty of all life. But that was before they met the humans of Colony 7. Kezit Thrall remembered the day everything changed. His pack had been traveling for decades searching for a new hunting ground. They were tired, hungry, and desperate when they detected the small human colony. Easy prey, soft beings with no natural weapons and simple technology. They had approached at night planning to feed and move on. Standard hunting protocol for his kind. But something had gone wrong with the plan immediately. Betkla, the smallest of their pack, had gotten caught in some kind of human mining equipment while scouting the colony. The trap had damaged her leg badly. She was stuck, unable to free herself, and the sun was coming up. Kezit Thrall had prepared to abandon her. It was the way of their people. The weak were left behind. The pack survived. But then a human female had found Betkla. Instead of running or calling for help, the human had stopped. She had looked at Betkla, a creature that could kill her without effort, and her first words had been, "Oh, you poor thing. You're hurt." The human, who called herself Sarah Martinez, had spent 3 days freeing Betkla from the trap. She had brought water and food. She had talked constantly while she worked, telling stories about her garden, her daughter's school projects, and her hopes for the colony's future. She had treated Betkla like an injured animal that needed help, not a monster that could eat her. "I don't know if you understand me," Sarah had said while bandaging wounds that could have healed by themselves. "But no one should be alone and hurt. Everyone needs kindness sometimes." Kezit Thrall had watched from the forest, ready to attack if the humans threatened his pack member. But no attack came. Only kindness from a species that should have been terrified. When Betkla was finally free, she had faced a choice. Her nature demanded she kill this human who had seen her weakness. But something new had happened. Something that had never occurred in 30 million years of their species' history. She couldn't do it. The human had shown her kindness, had helped her when she was vulnerable, had treated her like family. When Betkla returned to the pack, she couldn't explain what had happened. None of them could understand her story. Prey didn't help predators. It made no sense, but their curiosity was stronger than their confusion. They had watched the colony for days, trying to understand these strange soft beings. The humans were weak by any measure. They had no claws, no natural armor, no acid or poison or energy weapons. A single member of Kezit Thrall's pack could destroy their entire settlement. But they did things that made no sense. They helped each other. They took care of their young together, not just their own offspring. They shared food with anyone who was hungry. They worked together on projects that benefited everyone. They treated strangers like potential friends instead of potential threats. When Kezit Thrall's pack had finally approached the colony openly, the humans had been afraid at first. That was normal. That was expected. What wasn't expected was what happened next. Instead of attacking or fleeing, the humans had called a meeting. They had gathered together to discuss what to do about the terrifying monsters at their doorstep, and their conclusion had been to offer friendship. "We know you could hurt us if you wanted to," Sarah Martinez had said when she approached them with a group of other humans, "but you haven't. You've just been waiting at the edge of our home. So we thought maybe you needed something. Maybe we could help." They had offered food, shelter, a place to belong. No species in the galaxy had ever offered Kezit Thrall's kind anything except surrender or death. "Everyone needs a home," Sarah had said. "Everyone needs neighbors who care about them. If you promise not to hurt anyone, you're welcome to stay." The concept of neighbors had been impossible for them to understand at first. Neighbors were beings who lived nearby and helped each other, who shared resources and protected each other's young, who chose to be family even when they weren't related. Kazit Thrall species had never had neighbors. They had only had prey and territory, but the humans treated them like neighbors anyway. When winter came, the humans had built larger shelters so the pack would have warm places to sleep. When the pack learned that humans ate cooked food, they had tried to learn human cooking methods. When human children fell down and got hurt, the pack had learned to be gentle helpers instead of seeing weakness to exploit. The children had been the key to everything. Human young were impossibly vulnerable. They were small and soft and trusting. They ran toward danger instead of away from it. They showed affection to anyone who was kind to them. They had run straight toward Kazit Thrall's pack with no fear at all. "Are you friendly monsters or scary monsters?" 8-year-old Lucy had asked the first time she met Kazit Thrall. "We are..." Kazit Thrall had struggled for words. "We are what you make us." "Then I want you to be friendly monsters," Lucy had decided. Friendly monsters are much more fun. And somehow that had been enough to change everything. The pack had learned to be gentle with the fragile human young. They had learned to play games that didn't involve hunting or death. They had learned to tell stories about beautiful places they had seen in space instead of battles they had won. They had learned to be friendly monsters. The human children had learned things too. Combat techniques that could destroy buildings but which they used for games. Energy manipulation that could level cities but which they used to make pretty lights. Gravity control that could crush starships, but which they used for fun spinning tricks. The humans taught their children these techniques the same way they taught them to ride bicycles or do mathematics. With patience and safety rules and lots of encouragement. "Remember, Lucy, the spinny thing is just for play. Don't use it when you're angry or scared. And always make sure there's nothing fragile nearby." "Yes, Ms. Martinez, can I show Tommy how to do it?" "Of course, dear. Teaching friends is always nice. It was impossible. Prey species didn't adopt predators. Predators didn't protect prey. Young didn't learn weapons as games. Parents didn't teach children techniques that could kill armies. But humans did all of these things naturally. Like it was the most normal behavior in the universe. Now, as Kazit Thrall watched the Confederation ships in the sky, he understood why the galaxy feared his kind. He remembered being what they thought he still was. A creature of death and destruction that consumed worlds. But he also knew what he had become. He was a neighbor, a teacher, a protector of small human children who made him fruitcakes and asked him to read them bedtime stories. The ships above wanted to protect the humans from monsters. They didn't understand that the monsters had already been tamed by the simple, impossible kindness of people who believed that everyone deserved a chance to be a good neighbor. Gurthak, the largest of their pack, moved beside him. "The sky beings still think we are what we used to be." "Yes," Kazit Thrall agreed. "They see monsters. They do not see what the humans made us become. What will we do if they attack?" Kazit Thrall looked toward the colony, where human children were playing games with techniques that could shatter moons, supervised by creatures that used to eat civilizations for breakfast. "We will protect our family," he said. "We will show them that monsters can choose to be something else." Mrs. Shizatha, who was expecting young, moved closer to them. "The human children are making gifts for my offspring. They want to welcome the new baby to the colony." "Human young welcoming our young as family," Gurthak mused. 30 million years of evolution, and we never learned what these soft beings taught us in 3 months. "What did they teach us?" Mrs. Sitha asked. Kazit Thrall thought of Sarah Martinez bringing water to an injured creature that could have killed her. Of Lucy Chen asking if he wanted to be a friendly monster. Of an entire colony choosing trust over fear. They taught us how to be more than what we were born to be. The standoff lasted for 2 weeks. Confederation ships hung in the sky above Colony 7 while diplomats, military leaders, and xenobiologists tried to understand what they were seeing. Ambassador Zexathara filed 17 reports, each more confusing than the last. Her superiors kept asking for clarification, but how could she explain something that shouldn't exist? Apex predators baking cookies with human children? Sounded like a joke, not a diplomatic situation. The breakthrough came when Sarah Martinez made a decision that changed galactic history. "I'm tired of everyone being afraid," she announced at the colony's morning meeting. "The boys are tired of being treated like monsters. It's time for an honest conversation." She contacted General Mordak directly. "General, your people want to protect us from our neighbors. Our neighbors want to protect us from your people. Everyone's trying to protect us, but no one's listening to us. Ms. Martinez, those creatures are our friends, Sarah interrupted, and it's time you met them properly. Come down for dinner tonight, just you and a small team. Let us show you what you're really seeing here. Absolutely not. The risk. General, I'm a 60-year-old grandmother who's been sharing meals with these monsters for months. If I can do it, surely a trained military officer can manage one dinner. After much debate, General Mordock agreed to a brief visit with full military backup standing by. That evening, Sarah prepared what she called the most important dinner party in galactic history. General Mordock arrived with his security team, all wearing full combat armor and carrying enough weapons to level a small city. They looked like they were invading rather than visiting. The creatures waited in the dining hall, which had been decorated by the human children with welcome banners and drawings. The contrast was striking. Heavily armed soldiers facing monsters that were wearing party hats made by 8-year-olds. General Mordock, Sarah said warmly, I'd like you to meet our neighbors. Thrall stepped forward. Even trying to be non-threatening, he was terrifying. His massive form cast shadows across the room, and his glowing eyes reflected the light like burning coals. But when he spoke, his voice was careful and respectful. General Mordock, we welcome you to our home. We hope you will allow us to show you who we truly are. The general's hand moved toward his weapon. Your reputation precedes you. My records show your species has destroyed 17 civilizations. Yes, Thrall said simply. We were that species. But we are not that species now. Species don't change their fundamental nature. We thought so too, Mrs. Shizatha said as she approached. Her pregnant form was even more intimidating than the others, but she moved with careful gentleness. For 30 million years we believed we could only be what we were born to be. Hunters, killers, devourers of worlds. And now? Lucy Chen ran into the room carrying a handmade gift. Mrs. Shizatha, I finished the baby blanket for when your egg hatches. The massive creature carefully lowered herself to the child's level, accepting the small blanket with claws that could cut through steel. Thank you, little Lucy. Our offspring will treasure this gift. Lucy beamed with pride, then noticed the armored soldiers. Oh, are these the worried people from the ships? Ms. Martinez said they're scared you might hurt us. We would never hurt you, Lucy, Mrs. Shizatha said gently. I know that. You helped me with my math homework yesterday. Mean people don't help with math homework? General Mordock stared as the child hugged what his files classified as a Class Duathene extinction-level threat. The creature received the hug like it was the most precious gift in the universe. How? He whispered. Sarah guided everyone to the dinner table. That's what we're here to explain. Over the course of the evening, the story emerged. Not the simple version Sarah had told before, but the complete truth of what had happened on Colony 7. The creatures shared their perspective too. They spoke of 30 million years of loneliness, traveling through space as beings that other species feared or hated. They talked about the emptiness of being killers when killing brought no joy. We thought we were strong because we could destroy, Gerthak explained. The humans taught us that true strength is choosing not to destroy when you have the power to do so. They offered us something we had never experienced, Bestikla added. They offered us the chance to be loved instead of feared. General Mordock listened to it all while watching human children play games with creatures that could accidentally kill them. He watched elderly humans give parenting advice to beings that reproduced in ways too alien to fully understand. He watched impossible friendships that shouldn't exist but clearly did. This goes against every principle of xenobiology we know, his science officer whispered. Yes, Dr. Krillnex agreed, but the evidence is right in front of us. The turning point came when little Jake approached their table, pulling on Thrall's massive arm. Thrall, can you help me with the black hole again? I think I made it too big this time. The creature immediately became alert. Show me, Jake. They went to the garden where a small distortion in space was slowly eating a flower bed. To the Confederation team, it looked like a weapon of mass destruction. To the humans, it was a child's mistake that needed gentle correction. Remember what I taught you about size control, Thrall said patiently. Feel the event horizon with your mind. Now gently reduce the mass input. Jake concentrated, his small face scrunched up in effort. Slowly, the black hole shrank until it disappeared. I did it. Very good, Jake, but next time start smaller. Always practice safety first. Yes, sir. Ms. Martinez says safety is the most important thing when learning new skills. General Mordak turned to Sarah. You let a 6-year-old play with black holes? With proper supervision and safety rules, Sarah said calmly. Jake has a gift for spatial manipulation. We're not going to suppress his talents, but we make sure he learns responsibility along with technique. That child could accidentally destroy this solar system, which is why Cousin Thrall spends extra time teaching him control. The boys are excellent teachers when it comes to advanced physics. The general watched as more children demonstrated abilities that defied everything he knew about human limitations. They manipulated gravity like it was clay. They created energy patterns that could power cities. They opened small portals through space and time as easily as humans usually open doors. How long have they been learning these techniques? About 2 months, Sarah said proudly. The boys say humans have an unusual gift for adapting to new concepts. Your children are learning to use weapons that could destroy planets. They're learning to use tools that could build wonders, Sarah corrected. It's all about how you choose to use power. As the evening continued, General Mordak began to understand what had happened on Colony 7. It wasn't that the creatures had been tamed or controlled. They had been transformed by the simple human belief that anyone could choose to be good. The humans had looked at monsters and seen potential neighbors. They had offered friendship to beings that had never experienced friendship. They had shown trust to creatures that had never been trusted, and in return, the creatures had chosen to become worthy of that trust. General, Cousin Thrall said as the evening wound down, we know what we were, we know what the galaxy thinks of us, but we also know what we have become. We are protectors now, guardians of this small human family that saw something in us that we could not see in ourselves. And if other members of your species arrive, if they're not as reformed as your pack, then we will protect our neighbors from them too, Mrs. Shiztha said firmly. We will not allow our old nature to threaten our new family. General Mordak looked around the room one more time. Children playing impossible games under the watchful eyes of loving monsters. Elderly humans discussing philosophy with creatures that had seen the birth of stars. A community that shouldn't exist but was clearly thriving. I need to make some calls, he said finally. 3 months later, Colony 7 became the galaxy's first, officially designated interspecies sanctuary zone. The Confederation created new laws and protocols specifically for situations where apex predators chose to live peacefully with other species. Ambassador Zexathara was promoted to head the new Department of Impossible Diplomacy. Her first official report became required reading at every diplomatic academy in the galaxy. Species classification, based on evolutionary history, may be less important than species classification based on chosen behavior, she wrote. The humans of Colony 7 have demonstrated that the most dangerous beings in the galaxy can become the most protective when offered acceptance and belonging. Report concluded with an observation that became famous throughout the Confederation. Humans possess a unique ability to see potential rather than history. They judge beings not by what they were designed to be, but by what they choose to become. This perspective allows them to form relationships that other species consider impossible. In summary, to the galaxy at large, these creatures will always be monsters, but to the humans who live beside them, they are simply the boys. Neighbors who help with construction projects, teach children advanced mathematics, and make excellent fruit salad. The difference is not in the creatures themselves, but in the eyes that choose to see them as family rather than threats.